Welcome back everyone to the next session of Samsadi Day 10. May I now invite Dr. P. Chandramoulishwaran sir, Professor and HOD of Panchakarma Department, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, to welcome our next speaker of the day, Dr. Bharati Kumaramangalam ma'am. Please sir.
Good evening everyone. First of all, I thank Bharati madam for accepting this invitation and for blessing this occasion. I didn't make any note or something where because madam is what I say, some gurus teach you, some gurus they just impress you, some gurus blesses you. So madam has all three, I can only say that. And madam has though she has done PG from BHU, and she worked in in our institution. Then madam worked in CCRS and NIA. Now she is working there. So she is a very versatile personality and very down to earth person. And as I said, some gurus only impress upon you. So in my life, first and foremost, I would say the person who impressed as a guru is Bharati madam. And I scored high marks in only Prasuti. That is because of madam. So once again, I welcome you, madam, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And we are waiting to hear you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Chandramouli, my beloved student. With the permission of Principal Sir and the session coordinator, I'm going to start my presentation on the practical aspects of Uttarvasti.
Ma'am, I have an introduction about you. Shall I say or?
Oh, please, carry on. Sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the introduction. It is an honor by itself to introduce today's guest speaker, a recipient of 4 awards, Dr. Bharati Kumaramangalam ma'am. She is a professor and HOD of Prasuti Tandran's Triroga department in the most renowned NIA Jaipur. She completed her UG from NTI University of Health Sciences, PG from Institute of Medical Sciences BHU, and doctorate from NIA Jaipur. She has been an eminent academician for 5 years and an incredible research scholar in CCRS for 17 years. She is also establishing her administrative skills for 3 years. She has published more than 75 articles in various national and international journals and nearly 16 books, out of which she is the main author for 4 books and 5 ebooks. She has presented and participated in more than 80 conferences, seminars, and workshops. It gives me immense pleasure and privilege to extend you a very warm welcome on behalf of the whole AVC family, ma'am. It is all yours now. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can start the session, ma'am.
But this slide changing is.
Yeah, madam, in your laptop, you have that right corner, madam, up, down, and right, left.
Oh.
Yeah, just do that right arrow.
Yeah, page up, page down.
Yeah, page down and right side. Page up, page down, then left and right is there, no? 4 buttons will be there.
Yeah, there are there, but slide change is just a moment. This I'll close. Yeah, now I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, madam. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mauli. Dear all the participants, the faculty who have joined for this session, the today's topic is practical aspects of Uttarvasti. We speak so much about Uttarvasti from the Prasuti Tantra side, but what are the practical aspects? Okay, we learned so much from Samitas, but practically when we are doing it, we face some problems. Or for the BMS graduates, prior knowledge about the do's, don'ts, and the prerequisites are essential to know about the Uttarvasti. But with a short background of menstrual physiology, I'm going to start the Uttarvasti because understanding of menstruation is essential to learn how Uttarvasti acts on the endometrium. Since the site of Uttarvasti is the endometrium, of course, the action may extend to the tubes or the ovary or the entire reproductive tract gets affected with the Uttarvasti. But the background is essential to know. So, to study the menstruation, both in normal and abnormal scenarios, it is essential for the production of novel, acceptable treatments for common gynecological complaints. See, Uttarvasti, there are indications given in the Shastra, but day to day, we are facing new challenges. So, to learn those, to treat those challenges with acceptable medical treatments, to cure the common gynecological complaints, it is we must learn about the normal and abnormal scenarios of the menstruation. So why it is essential to know? Because the menstrual physiology, there is slight alteration in this physiology of any phase will lead to the gynecological disorders that can be treated by the Uttarvasti. So the human menstruation, why it is occurring? So it is the consequence of pre-implantation desidualization, conferring embryo selectivity and the ability to adapt to optimize its function. Maybe in the first phase or the second phase, we want to optimize its function through the Uttarvasti, and menstruation is the consequence of pre-implantation desidualization. So if desidualization, the implantation is not taking place, then the menstruation onsets. That's the meaning of that. What happens in the olden days, the woman used to get less number of the menstrual cycles because of the multiple pregnancies and long lactational amenorrheas. But now the scenario is changed. In the modern era, the scenario is changed. Now the woman is getting around 400 episodes of menstruation. This is because of the advent of the family planning methods and changing outlook of people. So number of pregnancies reduced, and the women in developed countries are expect greater than 400 episodes of menstruation. So when the woman is undergoing this many menstrual bleeds, naturally there is a high scope for the development of the gynecological disorders. So the woman is more susceptible to suffer with the functional reproductive disorders like the Ashrugdara, Artavadushti, and consequently Vandyatva. So in a nutshell, we can see, so what happens there? The relevance of menstrual physiology. This is the picture I have taken with the due courtesy from Mabin J.A. et al. Published in the PubMed. So the premenstrual endometrium is exposed to inflammation and hypoxia during the just before the onset of the menstruation. So stem cells and endometrium are involved at menses to enable scar-free repair. There are two layers, everybody knows about it. The functional layer and the basal layer. So the functional layer is shedding off during the menstruation, and the stem cells that are present in the basal layer are involved for the scar-free repair. Matlab, no scar should be formed there. So to grow normal endometrium, normal functional endometrium, scar formation should not be there. Aberrations in this process. So any abnormality is there in this process, that will lead to gynecological disorders. In the mid blue, you can see mid blue cycle. And the study of endometrial physiology may help delineate the pathogenesis of a number of disorders in other tissue sites. Even they believe that, this Mabin et al., they believe that. So if the scar-free repair is not taking place at the level of the functional layer, then these tissues or the delineated process may cause the other disorders at other tissue sites also. The shown in dark blue, you can see here the chronic inflammatory disorders at lung, liver, kidney, tumor biology. You may ask me the question, how it happens? Their hypothesis is that these stem cells that are present in the basal layer may migrate and cause the, if properly not tended, so that may cause the different diseases. So Apanavata regulating the regulating through the ovarian steroid functions, or the Apanavata messengers can be considered with reference to the reproductive tract as the progesterone and the estrogen. So the ovarian steroid hormones regulate the endometrial function and the human menstruation. After ovulation, the corpus luteum secretes high level of progesterone to maintain endometrial receptivity to receive embryo. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum regresses, and this is normal physiology. Everybody knows about it, causing a sharp decline. So this triggers a local inflammatory response in the endometrium involving infiltration of leukocytes, cytokines, etc., etc. So shedding of upper thirds of the endometrium takes place at the Rajasrava Kala. Proliferation of endometrium during the Rutukala, including the Bijodgama or the Phala Udgama, that is ovulation. And extensive and spontaneous deserialization reaction is essential to confer the maternal immunotolerance to the partially allogenic embryo, allowing controlled placental invasion. So the importance of properly grown proliferative endometrium is highly essential even to support the embryo, the maternal immunotolerance that may increase so that the properly embryo can be implanted there. Otherwise, this may cause the recurrent pregnancy loss in cases like the Vamini Yoni Vapath. So this is allowing the controlled placental invasion. So thus the importance is of proliferative and secretory phase. This can be achieved by the Uttarvasti if you administer Uttarvasti during the Artavakala. In addition, spontaneous deserialization may provide a maternal screen for genetically abnormal embryos. What they want to say is, if the deserialization is not proper or the deserialization is not spontaneous, so genetically abnormal embryos will be allowed. But if the spontaneous deserialization is there, the maternal side screening will also be done for them, and these embryos will not be allowed to implant. So many human pre-implantation embryos contain genetic aneuploidies and the chromosomal imbalances similar to those found in cancer cells. So it seems prudent that the maternal environment should provide some selection over the embryos so that will invade the endometrium. So in the true sense, when Uttarvasti is adopted for the purpose of the Garbhashaya Snehanardam for the achievement of the pregnancy, Garbhadharana. So these are all the benefits that the woman is going to get. So not only allowing the conception, and it also taking care of the selection of the even genetically normal embryos, not allowing the rejection reaction. So many things are involved in these the cycle. So this hypothesis is supported by findings in women with a recurrent miscarriage. So Yuhi, they have not derived to this hypothesis, but they have a support that. So they saw this effect in women with the recurrent miscarriages, where a higher proportion of poor quality embryos implant into a suboptimally deserialized endometrium. So thus this may be the reason behind the suggestion of the Uttarvasti in Putragni Yoni Vapath or in the Vamini Yoni Vapath. So thus this we can keep under control. So thus we can allow the maternal screening at optimum level to screen the abnormal embryos and then discard them, not allowing for the implantation. And if you optimize the function of the endometrium, so thus it will allow only the genetically normal embryos. So the subclinical abortion may be prevented. So menstruation may be viewed as an inevitable consequence of reproductive quality control. So perimenstrual leukocyte traffic, in turn, endometrial leukocytes produce MMPs and have the potential to stimulate metalloproteinases, MMP production from the adjacent cells, making them attractive candidates for the regulation of local endometrial MMP. So there are a lot of messengers involved in these processes. So we may think that how Uttarvasti is acting there. As far as my knowledge is concerned, that majority of the gynec people, they perform the Uttarvasti in cases of the tubal blood, majority, and in majority number of cases. Less we think about the induction of the ovulation, less we think about the luteal phase inadequacy or deficiency of the luteal phase, or very less we think about the recurrent miscarriage. So these are the clinical applications we can definitely do Uttarvasti. So what is the structure of the endometrium and what are the functions of the endometrium? We read very less in the gynec books and OBS books. Human endometrium is a fascinating, dynamic, steroid responsive tissue that undergoes repeat cycles involving sequential proliferation, differentiation, breakdown, and repair. This is a cycle. So after the breakdown and during the initial phases of the repair, Samhitakar are suggested to administer the Uttarvasti. So we are intervening at the level of the proliferation and the differentiation. So thus you can achieve two actions here. One is optimum proliferation and optimum differentiation and decidualization will allow for the obtaining potential offspring, one thing. Second thing, majority of the functional disorders or the reproductive pathologies are based on the repair the process of during the endometrial repair. So that is during the proliferative phase. If you perform this Uttarvasti in that blue circle, we have seen that appropriate repair without the formation of the scar will take place. So thus you can avoid the functional and the other reproductive tract disorders also. These changes are regulated in the presence of estradiol and the progesterone. Its sole purpose is to enable implantation of an embryo during the relatively short window of opportunity in the menstrual cycle. Endometrial receptivity is required for successful implantation in natural and even in IVF cycles. And other messenger is the HCG. Other messenger of the Apanavata is the human chorionic gonadotrophin. It is a major player in implantation involved in decidualization of the endometrial stromal cells, trophoblast invasion, proliferation of uterine natural killer cells, immunological modulation at maternal fetal interface, stimulation of endometrial angiogenesis, and maintenance of the progesterone secretion by the corpus luteum. So these many actions. What is Vata? Apanava is nothing but the functional type of the general Vata. So Vagati Gandhanayoho, the chemical messengers are the messengers of the Vata, and through them it is causing the movement or the growth or division Apanavayu. Through these messengers it is acting there. So once by administration of the Uttarvasti, if you regulate all these, then you will achieve the purpose of treating the gynecological disorders or achieving the conception. So, with this background, I'm going to enter into the Uttarvasti. In Ayurveda, snake and vasti are said to be the best treatments for pacification of the Vayu. In the context of Uttarvasti, Sage Charaka has mentioned that once the Vata is controlled by Uttarvasti, female achieves conception quickly. So thus, and how the general vata can be controlled by the Vasti. Similarly, the female disorders are controlled by the Uttaravasti. So everybody knows the definition: Uttaranam, Sreshtanam, Vastinam, Siddhir Uttara Basti Siddhihi. In Siddhisthana, Charaka said that Chakrapani clarified that why Uttaravasti is called as Uttaravasti, since it is the Sreshtavasti. Uttara denotes two meanings, maybe the latter or the superior. So since it's a superior quality, it is called as the Uttaravasti. And Uttaravasti rapi snehena anuvasaravat and shodhane niruhadapi kechidahuhu. And the other definition is Uttarena va margena diyete iti Uttaravasti. Since it is given in the Uttara Marga, that is other than the Buddha Marga, it is called as the Uttaravasti. So by definition, it is superior, and the second is it is given through the Uttara Marga. So general indications given for Uttaravasti, you can see in the Charaka Siddhisthana, these are the general indications by Susruta, Vagbhata, etc. But specific diseases, in the treatment of specific diseases also, Uttaravasti is described here. So let us see what are the indications. Vasti Vikara, disorders of the urinary system, Yoni Vikara, Garbhashaya Roga, Shrugdara, Yoni Bramsha, Vandetva, Yoni Shula, Vataja Yoni Vapat. So number of Yoni Vapas are incorporated under the Uttaravasti indications. Pittaja, Kafaja, Udavarta, Mahayoni. See here the Mahayoni also, in Mahayoni treatment also Uttaravasti is suggested. See, the entire exercise is not only to separate the functions of the endometrium, but in toto, the Uttaravasti gives strength to the Artavaha Srota. So the prolapse of the pelvic organs can be managed even through the Uttaravasti. And Sushkayoni Putragni, I discussed in previous slides, Putragni Srasta or Prasramsni and Yoni Vedana, Yoni Karkashata, etc. Arajaska Yoni Vapat, Akrasavita Mutra, etc. The general indications. So types, coming to the types of the Uttaravasti. So based on the site of administration, Mutra Marga and the Yoni Marga, in almost in 90% of the cases with the Yoni Marga Uttaravasti only, we perform the obstetricians and gynecologists of Ayurveda. And based on the material used, Snehika Uttaravasti and Niruha Uttaravasti. So two types are described in the Susruta, based on the material you use and the procedure you adopt. Snehika Uttaravasti and the Niruha Uttaravasti. And the purpose, the two purposes are mainly suggested to adopt the Uttaravasti, that is Garbhashaya Snehanartham and Garbhashaya Shodhanartham. Where we need Snehana we need in the cases of the infertility, and Shodhana we need in cases of the wherever Dushita Artava is there, Artava Dushti is there, or Ashuddhara, Artava Nasha, Artava Kshaya you can say, and Yoni Shula, etc. In these conditions we need the Artava Shodhana. So for the Garbhashaya Shodhana, we can adopt Uttaravasti in these cases, and Garbhashaya Snehana purely for achieving the conception. Especially in the endometrial factors, this works very well in achieving the infertility. In next slides, I am going to present that how for different indications people carried out research on Uttaravasti also. So Garbha Marga Snehana, what is the Garbha Marga Sneha in this context of the Uttaravasti? When the Snehana is where the allows the growth of the particular tissue or the Artava Dhatu. So in case, in this case, regeneration of the endometrium, Dhaturupa Artava, building of the Dhaturupa Artava. So this Garbha Marga Snehana purpose helps in the building of the Dhaturupa Artava, that is proper regeneration of the endometrium or you can say scare-free repair of the endometrium. So thus you can avoid the major diseases. Thin or damaged endometrium causes uterine factor derived infertility, resulting in a failure of the embryonic implantation. Regeneration of endometrium is a major issue in gynecology and reproductive medicine, particularly reproductive medicine. Various types of cells and scaffolds were studied to establish an effective therapeutic strategy. They struggle a lot, the infertility centers, to achieve the optimum proliferation of the endometrium. They pump tons of FSH, HCG, etc., etc. But in case of Ayurvedic practice, we don't need to go for all those injections or the hormones, dumping of the hormones in the woman's body externally. Simply by administering the Uttarvasti, we can achieve this optimum regeneration of the endometrium. And the experimental study done, a study done to see how this thin endometrium is causing the infertility. 3 to 10 week old female mice were anesthetized using the isoflurane, and they have used some mechanical methods and surgical methods to damage the uterine tissue by vaginal or dorsal surgical approach. They have approached two ways, through the vaginal way and dorsal surgical way. After 7 to 10 days, gross and microscopic morphology, safety and efficiency were compared among the groups. So the result, they have found that both chemical and mechanical methods resulted in thinner endometrium and reduced number of glands. So by this study, what we can understand means, if any damage is taking place by the chemical method or the mechanical methods, then the endometrium grows thinner, and there may be other changes also taking place. The other result of this study shows that gross morphology assessment revealed that the damaged regions of uterus showed various shapes, including shrinkage or cystic dilatation of the uterine horns. So this is very much important. We have to allow the scare-free repair of the endometrium, or to optimize the functions of the, to optimize the proliferation of the endometrium. So thus we can achieve the proper Garbhamarga Snehana and the complete regeneration of the endometrium, consequently the desideralization of the endometrium. So in this pictures you can see here, uteri in abdominal cavity. When uteri is there in abdominal cavity, they have taken pictures and isolated uterine horns of the mice. This is the mice uterus. You can see here enlarged, this formed cyst is there. See here, cystic appearance you can see in this, the different shapes of the endometrium also. So this shows that if it is not properly grown, the endometrium, so the result, we may not get the result. The success of embryo implantation is related to blastocyst quality as well as to the endometrium receptivity. Both the embryo and the maternal tissues are able to reciprocally exchange signals. The proper secretion of signal molecules and their uptake allow the successful implantation. So Uttarvasti probably setting right the signals. Amsha means the parts or the portions that are related to the Apanavayu to exchange with the blastocyst through the stimulation of the endometrium. So Uttarvasti is paving the way, or setting right the proper signals and allowing the exchange of the signals between the maternal tissue and the embryo. Several mediators such as growth factors, cytokines, chemokines, lipids, etc. So many influence the endometrial receptivity. Still, even the modern people, they have not studied what drug can influence these mediators, but we can presume that Uttarvasti, when it is helping the endometrial receptivity, might act to all these factors. So endometrial receptivity array test based on the microarray technology analysis the expression profile of 238 genes encoding proteins which are related with the implantation process during the window of implantation. So we can even test the this endometrial receptivity array in cases of the infertility before and after Uttarvasti, so that we can establish in future the actions of the mode of action of the Uttarvasti in cases of increased endometrial receptivity during the window of implantation. So probably this test even can be done in cases of the Vamini Yoni Vyapat. Epithelial mesenchymal transition. Another very important characteristic for endometrial receptivity is the epithelial mesenchymal transition. This, in short, it is called as the EMT. The cells lose their polarity and display a remodeling of cell junctions in order to facilitate the interaction with the embryo profectoderm. As an important suppressor of epithelial mesenchymal transition, MIR429 exhibited a down regulation during the implantation in mice. The enhancement of this MIR429 resulted in suppression of the migratory and invasive capacity of cells, probably through targeting protocadarin 8, leading to reduced implantation sites. So when the Uttarvasti is enhancing the endometrial receptivity, probably this may be reducing the an attempt I have made to analyze how Uttarvasti is involved in enhancing the endometrial receptivity. So this is a preliminary attempt. Probably in the future, we Ayurvedis can take up these markers to assess the efficacy of the Uttarvasti with special reference to luteal phase deficiency or implantation failure cases. So these are so many the messengers involved here, and these are regulators regulating the expression of many genes encoding proteins related to the endometrial receptivity and implantation. So when to perform the Uttarvasti? Uttarvasti should be given during the Artava Kala after the cessation of the menses. When bleeding is stopped, then we can start giving the Uttarvasti. Why we have to give? The Ayurveda is very much scientific. Maybe we are trying those chemical markers, etc., to establish the efficacy of Uttarvasti to our counterparts, but we don't need such establishment, I believe. We have to blindly adopt the procedure suggested in the Shastra. So here they have explained why we have to give Uttarvasti during the Artava Kala. Srinam Artava Kala ito pratikarma tadachare garbhasana sukam sneham tadate apavruta. Apavruta hai yaha.